I was hoping that in the arrangement proposed by the chairman, that I would not have to say anything, but it is interesting that we will report ourselves at some point in time. I'm not quite sure how we'll do that technically, but we discussed the arrangements and it is the logical way to do it. I would like to welcome you here today. The attendance is not as we had hoped. I think on this occasion we sent out notices and we made phone calls, and at some point in time I think there's I know there's a subject on the agenda titled Regulatory Framework, and at that point in time, whenever it is that we reach that, I will make my own contribution on the whole issue of attendance and participation. We started the Burnham Foundation in 2005. It was registered in 2008. Registered in 2008 as an NGO. And I think on this occasion, when we celebrate the birth anniversary of the leader of the PNC and first executive president and first prime minister, we have activities which I think are worthy of praise. I think the program this year is very good. We have the church service tomorrow morning at 8. The chairman has persuaded me to say a few remarks. That will be a historic event. I was a lay preacher in the Roman Catholic Church, so I suppose I might find some form tomorrow. And we have the concert in the evening, which we are all working on, and I hope all of us will be there. The most interesting item on the agenda from my point of view is the regulatory framework. The foundation was established in response to a certain environment at that time, which was I would call the non-recognition publicly of the achievements of Forbes Burnham and of the works he did by the party founded. And in that context, the foundation was, I think, structured with an activist orientation. As you all know, life and politics and society is not static. And those conditions have now changed in that we have emerging in the PNC a new leadership. I think that hopefully at the Congress this year a new leadership will emerge. And I am pretty confident that that leadership will or has a different orientation towards Burnham, and that the condition which we first started will no longer exist. I know for sure that Brigadier Granger is a total Burnhamite, so once he emerges as the leader, then I don't think we will go through that period again. And therefore, it is only right that we review the role, the regulations, and the objectives of the foundation to adapt them to this new environment. And therefore, I'm hoping that we, at that point in time when we will have that discussion, it will be healthy and positive. I personally am not afraid of change, and I have no objection to change. And change is necessary. Some people are afraid of change, but I think we need to change at this point in time. And maybe the activist character of the foundation is no longer necessary, as that will be manifested within the party that Burnham founded. I'm impressed that the younger generation of people, especially those in the YCT, are asking to hear about Burnham. So I think that the whole climate will change. There are some issues which I want to raise. I don't know if we'll have time to do them today, but I want to advocate that we practice 3 Ps. Punctuality, planning, and performance. Burnham was a very punctual man. I mean, those of us who worked with him. I mean, he even left his own wife at home sometimes when, if the process of getting ready would make him late, he would leave her behind with a car, of course, and the necessary security to meet with him wherever he was going. He was very punctual. It was very rare that he was unpunctual. And I think that whatever we are, our foundation or trust, we must try to reflect the ethic of Burnham in what we're doing. Planning is important. I think that the planning of the organization has improved substantially. And I'm hoping that this year, the planning will be better than it was before. As I said, it was already good. And things like our Christmas dinner, which in my view, I have some comments, but I will keep that for later. Could adopt a different character and be much more of an event. Performance. It doesn't matter what format we take, what form the organization takes. If we do not have people committed, dedicated to work in the interests of the Burnham legacy, then we will not achieve anything. And I'm hoping that out of this whole process will emerge a kind of committed and dedicated Burnhamites who will carry out the tasks. I remember before the foundation was registered and we went through, the organization went through many changes. There was a man who was general secretary, a student, who was anti-Burnham. I couldn't understand how he got there. But the pressure was so much on him that he had to resign. But you can't have an anti-Burnhamite in the Burnham Foundation. It's a dialectical confusion. And therefore, we need to ensure that who leads by example and leads in the direction of the Burnham legacy. The political, using a favorite word, dispensation. Dr. Luncheon, who I saw somebody said today, luncheon, has changed. And therefore, we cannot expect to be isolated from it. But it is changing in a positive direction. And our work, as I say, will in some way make a contribution to the positiveness of this new dispensation. We just celebrated Matrimony. And I met with some folks last evening in Sophia too. I say that to show class orientation. And I was struck by the fact that they were not too impressed with Matrimony. And what emerged from that discussion was that this government doesn't understand culture. What is culture? There's a difference between entertainment and culture. And Matrimony, the Matrimony activity and masquerade, when originally articulated, was to be a manifestation of culture and direction in the country. I know that because I was the minister who was responsible for it. Long ago, those who might have been alive will remember the floats. First of all, the army march. So you had a security company. The army had floats. I don't know if they had a float this year. I can't remember seeing a float. Then you had thoughts depicting grow more food, self-help, co-ops. The issues of development were displayed in these flows. What we have is a lot of women with...
Right for the chairman's statement as the next item. I want to take the opportunity to take a look at the objectives of the organization and to pose the question as to whether we are in fact achieving those objectives. There are quite a few. The first one says to appropriately commemorate the birth and death anniversaries of the late Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. I think we could, without fear of contradiction, claim that we do now appropriately, probably not as massively as required, but appropriately celebrate those activities. Let's take, for example, this year, the year that's coming to the end now. For the 27th death anniversary, which was last year, 26th, which was last year, we, the foundation, held a symposium at St. Sanders Lodge, which was well attended. I think we were able to fill the auditorium. And at that symposium, we invited all of the persons who contested for presidential candidate of the PNCR, and they made presentations on various aspects of Burnham's thoughts: economy, youth, sports, women, a wide spectrum. This month, as we celebrate his birth anniversary, we've already had the cycle race, which was another successful activity. I think we had 58 cyclists participating from Carifest Avenue to Belfield and back. And the newspapers, at least Nitro News, gave us a good spread. Almost got the whole back page this time. Tomorrow morning, we'll be having a church service at Kitty Methodist. The church that Burnham attended. Church as akin to the school his father was headmaster of. And tomorrow afternoon we'll be having a commemorative concert. Not to mention today's gathering. I'm saying that to say that we do have some level of activity as a part of our commemoration. So that in a sense we are working on the first objective. The second one speaks about establishing the foundation to promote the ideas and strategies of Burnham. And in that regard, it refers to a number of strategies and ideas: self-reliance, economic independence, a basic model for development, curricular integration, independent foreign policy, national unity, agricultural development, etc. Now the idea is to promote these ideas. Have we been doing this? I think during the course of the last year, we have moved more in the direction of doing this by virtue of the establishment of the television program, State of the Nation, which is now aired once a month. And on that program, we do seek to speak to the ideas of Burnham. We've had programs that spoke to culture, we've spoken to some foreign affairs. We've had 7 programs so far, starting in July of last year. And as I said, on those programs, we try to bring in people who have some knowledge and expertise in the area and share with the nation Burnham's ideas and to promote those ideas. We schedule next Sunday to have one on cooperatives. It should have been tomorrow, but our good friend Henry Jeffrey, who will be on that program, is not available tomorrow. And you'd ask why Henry Jeffrey? We have chosen Henry Jeffrey because, in fact, in the People's National Congress, he is the one who wrote the paper on cooperativism and can best speak to it. And so, next Sunday, we hope to have him, he's agreed, and Mr. Conway, a former Chief Cooperative Officer, sit and discuss the relevance of cooperativism today in Indiana. At a time when the UN has declared the year of cooperatives, and when the government, in the person of Dr. Gopal, has been making statements about the importance of cooperatives. So it's very timely for us in the foundation to remind the nation about cooperatives and to take them back to this idea as Burnham postulated it. So again, I'm contending that given the things we have listed here, that we have started in some way to propagate Burnham's ideas through our TV program, not to mention that all of our symposia which we've held so far, every year we've had one, we have in fact spoken on these topics. And more than that, we have a website and a Facebook page where some of these contributions can be found. So I can assure you, you can go to our Facebook page and you can find Professor Long's contribution at one of our symposiums some years ago. You can find the late Ramesh, former Deputy Mayor, Ramesh Kisun's presentation at another such activity. And so we are putting these in cyberspace so they can be accessed. So it's another way in which we are, in fact, through our symposia and through the website, making available information to the public on these subjects. So we are on our way in terms of the second objective as well. The third objective is to promote cooperativism, both as a concept and as a form of national life of the ideas. I don't think there's much to be done, if anything at all, on this particular objective. And therefore it may be useful for us today, later in the program, to turn our minds to what can we do on this question of promoting cooperativism as a concept, that's the easier part of it, and as a form of national life. The other objective is to initiate and execute social, civil, and economic education and training programs for members and patrons, including the initiation and foundation of lectures, seminars, conferences on any aspect of social, political, cultural, and economic affairs of the island. This one here, our symposia, have partially addressed, because when we hold our symposia, what we do in fact is to have kind of educative programs. But whether we have done as much as we can do is the question. And so again, this is an objective we probably should pay some attention to during the course of our discussions later on when we seek to plan our program. The other objective is to undertake research, writing and printing, dissemination of periodicals, books, booklets, monographs, and other materials with a view to highlighting and focusing on the ideas of Burnham. On this objective, we can say that we have been able to pull together the most comprehensive collection of Burnham's speeches. We have that. And we have created the infrastructure to exhibit these speeches, and we have done so from time to time. The most recent activity we've had is an exhibition at the University Ghanaian Library that ran for 2 weeks, at which exhibition we highlighted all of Burnham's speeches, and in addition to that, a number of books and articles that were written about Burnham. So in this regard, we're also partially on course. We do have a publication which we'll put online shortly. That is the most comprehensive publication on Burnham's works. It has a listing of all of his speeches and a listing of articles written on him. And this we have done in collaboration with the Library of the University of Guyana. And so again, here is an area where we have made some progress. And this will shortly be online. We have it in electronic form and will shortly be posted online. But I think once again, this is the area in which more work could be done. And in that regard, we need to have some more discussions. And there's a proposal that will be brought today in relation to publishing a volume 1 of the works of Burnham in time for his next death anniversary. And that we put on the agenda as we discuss the program. So that objective again we are seeking to work to achieve, but there's more work to be done in that regard. The other objective is to conduct research in the field of Guyanese political, cultural, history, economy, and related subjects based on the ideas of Burnham. I can't say that we have embarked on this aspect as yet. Therefore, we have to see how we could. You have to bear in mind we can't do everything at once. We have to gradually develop. And so this may not be one that we may take on board immediately, but certainly it is one that we have to address our minds to in the not too distant future. Next is to promote and organize chapters throughout the country. Now this is an area in which we have had starts and stops. And the last year has not been a year where we've worked on chapters. And I think it's a matter that in the context of what the patron said, we have to revisit. Whether we want to be a mass organization or whether we want to be a tightly knit group of people who are then going to interact with the masses in an attempt to achieve the objectives. I think it's a matter we have to revisit, and I hope we can have some ideas on this during the course of our discussions. And the final objective is to be, no, not the final, the penultimate, to be affiliated to any non-governmental organization or international foundation whose objectives correspond, do not contradict with those of the foundation. That I can say we have done insofar as we have been able to, in a sense, claw back in our relationship with the People's National Congress reform. The patron did make some comments earlier about the environment in which the foundation was founded, but I think over the last 2 years that we have significantly closed the gap between ourselves and the party in terms of working together. I think last year was the highlight in that regard, because last year when we celebrated, year before the last, not yet into 2012, when they celebrated the 25th anniversary, the foundation was an integral part of those celebrations, and in fact we were responsible for a symposium and for the concert that they held, so that the gap there has been closed. And what we have to do is to continue to work with them. In fact, for the last 3 to 4 months, our exhibition of Burnham's works have been located in Congress Place. It's not the intention that it will stay there, but it's just to exemplify the relationship that has been developing between the party and the foundation, though the foundation continues to be, and by constitution is intended to be, a non-governmental non-political organization. And that we should not lose sight of either. We have had a slight tendency of various politics in the foundation, which is a part of the problem we face with. And I hope we resolve it. Where when you come to elections, the membership swells. We let two purposes. When elections are over, you don't see them. And so we have on record 50-something persons who are members, and they're not here. And they weren't here last year.
Was joined up by one man to remove the chairman. But you see, the man had guts. And he abused me because he said I support him. I want to make it clear, I will never support anybody against the chairman. It's a political position, it's a position I have, a fundamental position I have. Not only because of his ability and his experience, but because we go back a long way too. You know, we are Burnhamites. A man wanted to remove this man, a whole load of conspiracy, a whole load of thing and carrying name, and this man trying to get somebody to check on a lie to remove me from the foundation. Now, the people who drafted the Constitution, I was not part of the team, has the office of founder chairman as one in perpetuity. I am in fact named in the Constitution. I ain't got no election for my post. I am there, you know, all the time until I wanted to meet the office or I died. And these men trying to get me involved in us, if you don't know the games that went on. A lot of games, and therefore I accept with bandit charge and this body wanted this thing, you know, a whole lot of conspiratorial work just to get the office. And therefore, I buy that. That is, for me, the best reason for the foundation. Remove all this politicking, you know. And once the trust got a mechanism to remove people who don't perform, because I feel strongly that some of the senior members are not performing, and I say so bluntly, and should be removed. Once that, I have no problem. And so what I'm saying really is, let us center the discussion again around the role, objectives, and what we want to do. We could contract, step back, set up the trust, which I think Brooke was talking about trophies. We could do more indirect, what they call indirect mobilization, you know, prizes, scholarships, you know, do things like that, as they sing from this activist work of going into the communities, which I think is still there. I'm hoping that the man who I hope is upon becomes the leader of the PNC, I think he says so, will reactivate the PNC's outreach program, meet the people and all those things. I mean, this program, you know, I mean, those of us who worked with Burnham, Vincent was there, we learned a lot. I've seen Vincent operate in Moscow as chairman of the students. I mean, we learned a lot here in Ghana, which we take abroad with us. I went to Kosovo as a UN staff member. Within 6 months, I was the Kosovo United Nations Chief of Staff. And it's because I organized a meet the people tour, which the white people don't know about. You know, we walk around the place, meet people, find out the problems. On open days, I instructed all the officers they have to open the doors so twice, once a week. We used to do that at the old Congress place with ministers. You remember, Brooke? You remember? Lao? I mean, I implemented the things that I learned here. So let us focus on the role, objectives, and program, and then we structure the movement to implement that. I don't have a problem with the trust.